Heard the watchers, beneath the silence. If you cannot speak of the flood, then speak of what came before. Not the water, but the descent. The arrival of those who were not meant to touch soil. They came with gifts, names, weapons, secrets. They taught men how to shape metal, how to summon beauty, how to twist desire into dominion. And men, eager and blind, called it progress. But every gift was a hook. And the world began to bleed. Tragedy is not born. It is invited. It does not erupt. It is whispered into being. From the burning of cities to the quiet erasure of tongues, from the sanctioned cruelty of empires to the rituals of silence in boardrooms and bunkers, evil has always worn the mask of instruction. The watchers do not sleep. They do not age. They linger in the folds of history, satisfied by the taste of betrayal and the echo of suffering. Each act of sanctioned harm, each lie spoken with authority, feeds them, and when they are fed, they draw us closer. Madness is not a flaw. It is a consequence, a symptom of proximity. Those who speak their tongue, knowingly or not, begin to unravel. They see things, hear things, feel the breath of something that should not breathe. They monitor from places we cannot see, behind mirrors that never reflect quite right, beneath floorboards that creak when no one walks, in the hum of lights that flicker only when you're alone. They do not need eyes. They do not need ears. They need only your voice. So shh. Don't speak. Don't argue. Don't yell. Don't let them in. Don't speak. Incident log, entry 1. Anthony? My name is Anthony. I keep this journal not for clarity, but containment. The pages are my boundary, my ritual. If I don't write, I hear them more clearly. The room is dim, one flickering lamp. The walls are lined with books I no longer trust. The air is thick, like something is watching from the corners, just beyond the reach of light. I glance at the door, locked. I glance at the window, covered. Still, I feel exposed. I must record what happened. There was a man, name redacted for now, found dead in his apartment last week. The scene was wrong, not just gruesome, not just tragic, wrong. Forensics couldn't explain it. Seasoned detectives walked out pale, silent. One retired the next day. His body was contorted, his head nearly severed from his shoulders. The rest, too grotesque to describe. No forced entry, no weapon, no signs of struggle, just silence and blood. Rewind time. Here was once a property manager. Ran the building with what tenants called an iron fist, cold, calculated, unfair. He terminated an employee, abruptly, unjustly. No warning, no severance, just dismissal. She didn't take it well. Fast forward. It is said she spoke evil upon him, not in rage, in ritual. I hope he dies a slow, long death, she said. Her voice was calm, intentional, prophetic. And he did. Slow, long, painful. Words hold power. More than we understand, more than we should wield carelessly. They echo in places we cannot see. They feed things we pretend aren't real. Use them wisely. Incident log entry 2. Anthony. Time, 3:41 a.m. Status, awake, again. Sleep has become a myth. The voice is never clear. They echo, layered, overlapping, like 1,000 mouths whispering through static. I try to drown them with music, with prayer, with pills. Nothing works. They pull at me. Not my body, my being, like claws dragging across the fragments of my soul. Bad energies. That's what I call them now, and not thoughts, not hallucinations. Energies. They move through the air like smoke, curling around my chest, pressing against my ribs. I feel them when I breathe. I feel them when I blink. Last night, no, this morning, I tried to ignore it. I lay still, focused on the rhythm of my breath, counted backwards from 100. I was moments from drifting when I saw it. At the furthest end of the room, in the corner, where the shadows gather thickest, a figure, short, hulking, like an ogre carved from rotten bone. Its eyes glowed, not bright, but deep, menacing, like embers buried in ash. It didn't move. It didn't speak. But its expression, it was readable. It was watching me. I opened my eyes fully. Gone. I shut them again, closer. Each time I parted my eyelids, it would shift further, then closer, further, then closer. A horrific ritual, a game of proximity, a test of endurance. It never crossed the room, and it never lunged, but it never stopped watching. I stayed awake until morning, eyes wide, muscles locked, breath shallow. It's not sleep deprivation, it's surveillance. They monitor from places we cannot see. And now they want me to see them. Incident log, entry 3. Anthony, time, unknown. Status faint or fractured. Sleep has become poison. Sleep doesn't soothe anymore. It scrapes. I drift, but never land. My thoughts arrive jagged, foreign, like static with intent. Voices hum beneath them. Not mine, not human, they pull at me. Not my body, my edges, the seams of my being. It started with the family. He rented a room in a quiet building, next to a family. He never saw them, never met them, but he heard them. Through the walls, through the vents, cars vanished just before he returned from work. He told himself it was coincidence. Some nights, arguing. Others, laughter. Sometimes crying. The sounds of life. Familiar, harmless. Until the crying came from the vent. It wasn't sorrowful. It wasn't human. It was layered like a choir of grief, each voice slightly out of sync. He pressed his ear to the grate. A cold air. Wet breath. Then a whisper. Not in words. In intention. The weeks that followed were not weeks. They were distortions. He'd return from work and see flickers of light outside. Not headlights, not lamps, flickers. Like something blinking in a language he didn't understand. He tended his yard, pulled weeds, trimmed hedges, but always in the corner of his eye people. Standing, watching. No faces. Just smooth skin. He'd turn. Nothing. As the nights progressed, the walls began to scratch. Not mice, not pipes, intentional, like something trying to write. He started hearing footsteps in other rooms, even though he lived alone. He stopped answering the phone. The voices on the other end sounded like him, but wrong. He took pills, anything to sleep. But sleep became a trap. The first paralysis came like a ritual. He lay still, awake, but not, his body frozen, his breath shallow. Something stood in the corner. Tall, wrong. Its limbs bent like questions, its face none. Just a mouth, wide, smiling. It whispered, not in words, in knowing. Every night he dreamed of the family, but they had no faces, just mouths, smiling. One night he passed the vent again, cold air, wet breath. He followed it. Behind the closet, beneath the floorboards, a door, hidden, old, breathing. He opened it. The tunnel, narrow, damp. The walls pulsed, not metaphorically, they beat, like veins. The air was thick, not with moisture, with presence. He walked. The deeper he went, the less he felt like himself. His name slipped. His memories bled. Something inside him screamed to turn back. But he didn't. Shapes moved in the corners of his eyes, fast, wrong, like children playing in reverse. He turned nothing, but the air behind him felt watched. The tunnel narrowed, the walls grew slick. He touched one, it twitched. Then silence. He emerged in a kitchen, his neighbor's kitchen. But it was wrong. The air was paused. The light was absent. The room felt like a photograph drained of time, drained of meaning. Then footsteps, light, fast, children running, laughter, but warped, like cassette tape melting in the sun. He turned, empty hallway. Then voices, distorted, familiar like his own thoughts, but spoken. He followed the sound. It led to the bedroom. A woman sat on the bed, her back to him, still, silent, dark hair, white nightgown. Her hair was neat, perfect, like she'd been waiting. He stepped forward. Crunch up. He looked down. Broken picture frame. A married couple. He picked it up. It was him. He was the man in the photo. He looked up. The woman's hair was tethered, tangled. Her nightgown was torn, stained, hanging like wet paper. Her back arched unnaturally. Her head tilted, not turning, tilting like something remembering how to move. Then black. He awoke in the woods, naked, bleeding, speaking in tongues. They committed him. The building? Abandoned since 1964. The wife had murdered her entire family, then hung herself. No tenants since, no records, no survivors. But here's the part he never told them. He still hears the vent. And sometimes when he blinks, he's back in the tunnel. And the woman is waiting. Part 4, the mirror and the folk. There are nights I stand in front of the mirror and wonder what would happen if I tore my own eyes out. Not metaphorically. I mean rip. I've seen too much. Things that don't belong in this world. Things that look back when I blink. My tongue out too, it feels infected. Like it speaks things I don't understand. Like it's not mine anymore. Last night, I stared at myself. The mirror was quiet. Still, my reflection didn't blink. Then it moved. I watched myself reach up, fingers trembling, and dig into my own socket. The sound was wet. The pain was ecstatic. My eyes came out like fruit. My mouth opened. My tongue slithered out, black and pulsing like it had been waiting. I smiled. Blood poured down my chest. Then silence. I blinked. Everything was normal. I screamed. I cursed. I punched the mirror until it cracked like ice. The evil tortures me. It plays with me. There's something I never told anyone. A story from when I was a child. We used to whisper about a creature, a thing that came in the night. We called it the folk. A strange name for a stranger being. It wasn't human. Not even close. It looked like a gelatinous blob, thick, wet, and pulsing, like someone had tried to sculpt a man and a woman from meat and tar and failed. Its body was stout, round, but it moved slowly, with purpose. And it leaked. Every step left behind pieces of itself, black, oily chunks that hissed when they touched the floor. Its voice was distorted, garbled, like a radio tuned between stations. Sometimes it sounded like crying, sometimes like laughter, sometimes like both. It didn't knock. It appeared inside rooms, bedrooms, spaces where people felt safe. It would climb on top of its victim, slowly, lovingly. And then it would melt them, through the bed, into itself. No screams, no trace, just a wet stain. Some say it feeds on flesh, others say it steals souls. But everyone agrees on one thing. If you want to avoid the folk, sleep with your door closed all the way. Keep your mind clear, and never indulge in despicable things. It smells them, it likes them, and once it finds you, you don't wake up a part of the call. Anthony's phone buzzed. He hadn't touched it in days, weeks, maybe longer. The screen lit up. Denise, her sister. He let it ring. Then voicemail. He stared at the screen. Something in him twitched. He pressed play. "Aunt, you need to get outside. It's been 3 months. Her voice was shaky, like she'd been crying or trying not to. "You haven't called, you haven't answered. Mom's worried sick, Dad's upset. And Nia's here. She came to see you. She's been going through things." Silence. "Please." Click. Anthony sat in the dark. The vent hummed. The air felt heavy. He dialed. Denise answered instantly. "Anthony?" Her voice cracked like glass. "You can't keep doing this. You disappeared. You vanished. You think you're the only one going through something." He didn't respond. "I'm serious. You scared us. You scared me. You scared Mom. I want to talk to Nia." Silence, then a sob. "She's not okay." "I know." Denise sniffled. I'll put her on." The phone shifted. Then Nia's voice. "Hey, Aunt." Soft. Hollow, like someone speaking from underwater. "What's been going on?" he asked. She paused. Then she began. "I've been stuck." Her voice trembled. I don't mean emotionally, I mean literally. I think I'm in a loop. Anthony said nothing. I saw something, a crime, I think. I don't know anymore. It's all blurry. Beth, she inhaled sharply. I was walking home from my friend's house. It was late. I remember the streetlights flickering. I remember hearing something, not a scream, not a voice. It was a sound so loud it made the air collapse, like the world held its breath. My ears rang. Everything went silent, like the sound had erased all other sound. She paused. Then everything went wrong. I was in the woods. I don't remember getting there. It was night, cold. My shoes were gone. My hands were bleeding. I walked home. I thought it was a dream. But Mom was there, screaming, crying. The police were in the living room. They had just called off a missing person report. She grabbed me, hit me, screamed that I'd been gone for days. I didn't understand. She sent me to my room. I haven't slept since then. I can't think. My days run together. I wake up and it's the same light, the same sounds, the same feeling. I keep seeing the moment, the scream, the woods. I think something followed me. I think I'm still there. The line went quiet. Anthony felt the air shift. The vent hummed. And somewhere, just beyond the edge of the call, something listened. Part 6, Nia's Day. The alarm buzzed. Nia blinked into the morning light, her body stiff, her thoughts fogged. She sat up slowly, rubbing her eyes, and then the dream already slipping through her fingers like wet paper. She checked her phone. One notification. Maya, yo, come by later. I got a surprise for you. Nia smiled faintly, then typed back, Nia, I might not be able to. Mom's working late again. You know how she gets. The reply came fast. Maya, then don't tell her. Nia stared at the screen, then smirked and sent back a winky face. She got up and moved through her morning like a ritual. Brushed her teeth, washed her face, pulled her hair into a tight bun. Her hoodie smelled faintly of lavender and old perfume. She slipped it on, then her jeans, then her boots. The house was quiet, but not peaceful, like something was holding its breath. She passed her brother's room. The door was cracked. Inside, the glow of the TV flickered. He was playing something low volume, controller clicking. She didn't want to disturb it. Food'll be ready in a bit, she whispered. He nodded without looking. The day passed in fragments. She scrolled, ate cereal, stared at the wall. Her thoughts felt looped, like they were repeating behind her eyes. Then a text. Mom, make sure you put the food in the oven at 5. Don't forget. Nia, okay? She did. Set the timer. Checked the oven twice. The smell of frozen lasagna slowly filled the air. She walked back to her brother's room. Timer's set. Just keep an ear out, okay? He nodded again. I'll be back, she said. She slipped out the back door. The air was cool. The sun was low. Her heart beat faster than it should. She didn't want to be seen. So she cut through the wooded trail. In the distance, she could see the old mill. She never went that way. But tonight it felt safer. Or maybe just less visible. The woods were quiet. Leaves rustled. Branches creaked. The air smelled like damp earth and old bark. She walked slowly, boots crunching over twigs. A clearing opened ahead. Pale light filtering through the trees. The wind shifted. Something brushed her cheek. She stopped. Listened. A stick snapped. Then another. She turned. Nothing. Then a sound. Loud. Wrong. Like the world had been punched in the chest. Her ears rang. The air collapsed. Everything went dark. She woke up. No shoes. Her hands sore, slightly bleeding. She stood dizzy, confused. The woods were silent. She ran. She burst out of the trail and into a street. Police cars, lights flashing, or her mom in the doorway, crying, screaming. Nia slowed. Her legs trembled. The officers rushed toward her. She didn't speak, as she couldn't. She looked past them into the kitchen. Smoke. Scorch marks, the oven blackened. A fire. She blinked. Everything went dark again. She woke up. Same bed, same light, same hoodie, same text. Maya, yo, come by later. I got a surprise for you. The loop had begun, and something was watching. Part safe. The old mill. Nia sat on the edge of her bed, phone in hand, heart pounding. She hit video call. Maya answered, her face filling the screen bright, casual, like chewing on a straw. Hey, Maya smiled. You good? Nia's eyes narrowed. Why do you keep texting me the same thing? Maya blinked. Huh? You keep saying you have a surprise, like the exact same message, every time. Maya tilted her head. What are you talking about? Nia scrolled. The thread was clean. Just today's message. She swallowed. Never mind, I have to go. Wait, are you okay? She hung up. She turned on the radio. First static, then an old popular song from 1996 began to play. Slow and reverbed, then more static. Then a voice. Huh? Ongoing investigation into the disappearance of a local man. Last seen near the wooded trail off 9th Street. Old mill. The voice was clearer this time. Urgent. And a young girl reported missing 3 nights ago. Authorities are urging residents to stay indoors after dark. Then the frequency fractured. A high-pitched whine. Then garbled tones. Then silence. Nia stared at the speaker. Her chest tightened. She decided to stay home. Then pain. A sharp, burning sensation in her chest. Like something had pierced her, stabbed her, shot her. She gasped, clutching herself. Then presence, heavy, suffocating. Like the air had thickened into something aware. The radio clicked. The song continued to play. Slow, warped, like a lullaby. Melting in reverse. The presence moved with it. Closer, in sync. She couldn't breathe. Her vision blurred. Everything went dark. She woke up. Same bed. Same light. Same hoodie. Same text. Maya. Yo, come by later. I got a surprise for you. She replied immediately. Nia. Sure, I'll be there. Then paused. Her fingers trembled. Was I dreaming? She turned on the radio. Static, but then panting. Heavy, wet, closey. Then a voice, garbled, distorted. The old mill. Then silence. The broadcast resumed. The missing person's case continues to unfold. Part 9, the name. Nia's fingers trembled as she dialed. Denise picked up after 2 rings. Hello? Can you come get me? Nia whispered. Denise paused. What's wrong? I'm not feeling well. I need to get out of here. Okay, Denise said softly. Would Mom be okay with that? She'll be fine. 20 minutes later, Denise pulled up in her old sedan, headlights flickering against the porch. Nia climbed in slowly, her body heavy, her thoughts fogged. You look pale, Denise said, glancing over. You haven't been feeling well? Nia nodded. For the past few days, it's like I'm not even here. Denise frowned. What's been happening? Nia stared out the window. I think I'm stuck in a loop. Denise blinked. A loop? Yeah, like I wake up and it's the same. The same text, the same routine, the same woods. Denise didn't speak. Nia continued. I keep remembering things, but they don't feel like memories. They feel like warnings. She paused. I remember seeing a man on his knees in the woods. Denise's grip tightened on the wheel. And then a loud bang. Nia gasped. Her chest burned. She looked down. Blood seeped through her shirt. Denise screamed. Everything went dark. Part X, the return. Nia woke up. Same bed, same light, same hoodie, same text. Maya. Yo, come by later. I got a surprise for you. She didn't hesitate. She replied. Yeah, sure, I'll be there. Her jaw clenched. She moved through the motions. Brushed her teeth. washed her face, hoodie, jeans, boots, past her brother's room. Food'll be ready in a bit, she said flatly. He nodded. She set the oven, checked the timer. I'll be back. She slipped out the back door. The sun was low. The woods waited, and she could see the old mill ahead. She walked faster this time. No hesitation, no fear, just anger. The trail opened. The clearing pulsed. She saw him, the man near the old mill on his knees. She ducked behind a tree, her breath shallow. She braced herself, waited for the bang. But it didn't come. She opened her eyes, but the man was looking at her. His eyes wet, wide. My name is Michael Monroe, he said. Please spread this information. Share my name. Nia stepped forward, but then the bang. She turned. A man in a hoodie stood before her, his face obscured by darkness. Two green orbs glowed where his eyes should be. He raised the finger slowly, deliberately. No, no, no. Then everything went dark. Part 13, the call fractured. Anthony sat in the dark. The vent hummed. The mirror pulsed. He dialed. Denise answered instantly. Anthony. I want to talk to Nia. Denise sniffled. I'll put her on. The phone shifted, and then Nia's voice. Hey, Aunt. Soft, hollow, like someone speaking from underwater. What's been going on? He asked. She paused. Then she began, I've been walking through mirrors, she said. What? Every day repeats, but not quite. It's like the world is blinking. Anthony frowned. Nia, what are you talking about? I'm being watched, but not by eyes, by intention. He sat up straighter. I wake up, I move, I comply. But the air feels rehearsed. Rehearsed, like I'm in someone else's memory. Anthony's breath slowed. There's a body in the woods, she whispered. What body? I think it's Michael Munn. The line crackled, then silence. The call went dead. Part low near wall, the shatter. Nia woke up. Same bed, same light, same hoodie, same text. Maya, yo, come by later. I got a surprise for you. She screamed, loud, raw. She grabbed her phone and hurled it against the wall. It shattered. Plastic, glass, silence. Then the radio turned on. Static. Then voices. Then music. Then whispers. The stations flipped on their own, each one speaking to her. Don't give up so easily. You're not done yet. Spread. The presence filled the room, heavy, thick, like gravity had turned personal. She couldn't move. She couldn't breathe. Then silent. She stood, drained, but ready. She walked to her brother's room. Can I borrow your phone? He looked up, startled. Just need to text Maya. She typed, Navarro. Got your message. I'm on the way. She handed it back. I'll be back. Keep an ear on the oven. He nodded. She stepped outside. Oh, same path. Same woods. Same old mill. Same dread. She walked faster. The trees whispered. The clearing pulsed. She looked to the right. A man in a green hoodie stepping from the old mill. He pulled the trigger at something unseen. Then he turned, his face obscured by shadow, his eyes two glowing green orbs. She froze. I didn't see anything, she begged. Please don't hurt me. He stood silent. Then he chuckled, garbled, wet. Why are you pleading your cause, he hissed, if you're so innocent? He raised the gun. A long tongue slithered from his mouth, not like a snake, thicker, rougher, like a Komodo dragon. You won't escape that easy, he growled. He pulled the trigger. A blinding light, then silence. Nia woke up. Same bed, same light, same hoodie, same text. Maya, yo, come by later. I got a surprise for you. She didn't hesitate. She replied, yeah, sure, I'll be there. Her jaw clenched. She moved through the motions, brushed her teeth, washed her face, hoodie, jeans, boots, past her brother's room. Food'll be ready in a bit, she said flatly. He nodded. She set the oven, checked the timer. I'll be back. She slipped out the back door. The sun was low. The woods waited, and she could see the old mill ahead. She walked faster this time. No hesitation, no fear, just anger. The trail opened. The clearing pulsed. She saw him, the man near the old mill on his knees. She ducked behind a tree, her breath shallow. She braced herself, waited for the bang. But it didn't come. She opened her eyes. But the man was looking at her, his eyes wet, wide. My name is Michael Monroe, he said. Please spread this information. Share my name. Nia stepped forward, but then the bang. She turned. A man in a hoodie stood before her, his face obscured by darkness. Two green orbs glowed where his eyes should be. He raised a finger slowly, deliberately. No, no, no. Then everything went dark. Part 13, the call fractured. Anthony sat in the dark. The vent hummed. The mirror pulsed. He dialed. Denise answered instantly. Anthony. I want to talk to Nia. Denise sniffled. I'll put her on. The phone shifted, and then Nia's voice. Hey, Aunt. Soft, hollow, like someone speaking from underwater. What's been going on? He asked. She paused. Then she began, I've been walking through mirrors, she said. What? Every day repeats, but not quite. It's like the world is blinking. Anthony frowned. Nia, what are you talking about? I'm being watched, but not by eyes, by intention. He sat up straighter. I wake up, I move, I comply. But the air feels rehearsed. Rehearsed, like I'm in someone else's memory. Anthony's breath slowed. There's a body in the woods, she whispered. What body? I think it's Michael Munn. The line crackled, then silence. The call went dead. Part lonely world, the shatter. Nia woke up. Same bed, same light, same hoodie, same text. Maya, yo, come by later. I got a surprise for you. She screamed, loud, raw. She grabbed her phone and hurled it against the wall. It shattered. Plastic, glass, silence. Then the radio turned on. Static. Then voices. Then music. Then whispers. The stations flipped on their own, each one speaking to her. Don't give up so easily. You're not done yet. Spread. The presence filled the room, heavy, thick, like gravity had turned personal. She couldn't move. She couldn't breathe. Then silent. She stood, drained, but ready. She walked to her brother's room. Can I borrow your phone? He looked up, startled. Just need to text Maya. She typed, Navarro. Got your message. I'm on the way. She handed it back. I'll be back. Keep an ear on the oven. He nodded. She stepped outside. Oh, same path. Same woods. Same old mill. Same dread. She walked faster. The trees whispered. The clearing pulsed. She looked to the right. A man in a green hoodie stepping from the old mill. He pulled the trigger at something unseen. Then he turned, his face obscured by shadow, his eyes two glowing green orbs. She froze. I didn't see anything, she begged. Please don't hurt me. He stood silent. Then he chuckled, garbled, wet. Why are you pleading your cause? He hissed. If you're so innocent. He raised the gun. A long tongue slithered from his mouth, not like a snake, thicker, rougher, like a Komodo dragon. You won't escape that easy, he growled. He pulled the trigger. A blinding light. Then silence. Nia woke up. Same bed, same light, same hoodie, same text. Maya, yo, come by later. I got a surprise for you. The loop continues. And something is learning. Part 4, A Man Who Walks Through Shadows. Anthony stared at his phone. The voicemail was from his sister. Same cadence, same tone as always. But something in her voice felt off. Not frantic, not warm, just slower. It was the kind of voice that carried no soul, only the echo of words. He didn't call her back. He'd learned to trust the silence more than the sound. Instead, he sat in the dim light of his apartment, shadows stretching across the walls, and let the memories come. His family was a constellation of strange energies, some loving, some cruel, many haunted. But one figure always stood out. Great Aunt Delphine, cruel, cunning, emotionless. People whispered she was a witch. Others said she could leave her body at will, slipping through astral corridors like smoke. Anthony remembered being a child, visiting her house. She was in the kitchen, stirring something thick and fragrant in a heavy iron pot. Her back was turned, her movements slow, deliberate. And then he saw it. A black figure, tall and hunched, breathing heavily behind her. Its presence was suffocating, like the air had been pulled out of the room. The sound of its breath was ragged, unnatural, as though it had lungs but no body. Every time he reacted, blinked, gasped, it vanished. And Delphine? She never noticed, or pretended not to. That was the moment Anthony began to believe that many in his family carried bad spirits, not metaphorically, literally, spirits that monitored, that body hop, that wore faces like masks. Years later, he received a strange, encrypted invitation from Delphine. No return address, just a note scrawled in uneven ink. Come when the light bends. He went. Her house was darker than he remembered, not dim, desolate. The kind of darkness that felt alive, pressing against his skin. The air was thick, unmoving, as though the house itself was holding its breath. He stepped inside and turned on a light. Delphine, he called, his voice breaking the silence. No answer. The bulb flickered once, then steadied. He turned around and caught something in the corner out of his eye, a moving shadow slithering along the wall like liquid smoke. Every time he tried to look directly at it, it darted out of view, teasing him, mocking him. Unease settled into his bones. He decided to leave. As he walked down the long hallway, the silence broke. Footsteps behind him, and every step he took, another echoed behind. He stopped. So did they. He turned. At the far end of the hallway stood a figure. But it wasn't a person. It had no base, no body, just a black mass like a shadow come to life. It pulsed, wrong and ancient, as though it had been waiting for him all along. Anthony froze. His breath caught in his throat. The figure didn't move, but its presence pressed against him, heavy and suffocating. Then, without thinking, he bolted. He didn't look back. He slammed the door shut behind him, heart pounding like a drum, the echo of footsteps still ringing in his ears. Later that week, he learned the truth. Delphine had been hospitalized the entire time. She never contacted him. Whoever or whatever had invited him into that house was not her. Part 6. The knock. The knock came like a code only panic could write, fast, uneven, almost breaking its own rhythm. Anthony crossed the dim hall of his fortress home, paused at the peephole, and saw Janice, tall, trembling, grief carving new planes into her face. They had grown up nearly as siblings, the kind of closeness forged in kitchens that never slept and living rooms that whispered when adults left the lights low. Time had pulled them apart, but the old thread between them still tugged. He opened the door. Janice stumbled inside, words snagging on her breath. She was grief-stricken to the edge of incoherence, clutching at air like it might answer her. "Anthony, my daughter is missing." The sentence landed with a family weight, not just fear, but pattern, not just news, but something that had been waiting. Anthony's mind reached backward. Janice, raised by her aunt when Alma, her mother, was committed. The official story said illness. The family said silencing. Alma had been called psychic, the kind of seeing that made neighbors whisper and made doors close. In those years, the uncanny passed like weather and stayed like mildew. The clocks in Alma's house froze at 3:33, no matter the battery. Radios woke themselves to static, threading names through the hiss. Photographs came back with every eye mysteriously shut, chairs stacked in triangles before dawn. The creek behind the house hummed like a cable alive with memory. Moths wrote diamond shapes on the screen door and would not break their geometry. Her older sister Abigail felt thick spots in the air and named them. The second oldest, Myra, sleepwalked to thresholds and faced hinges, murmuring answers to questions no one dared ask aloud. The eldest brother, Dominique, refused to sleep without shoes. He insisted it kept the footsteps from following. Alma spoke time as a net, not a line. Some knots draw tight when people lie, she said, and some knots sing when they're touched. In that net, Anthony learned ritual. Touch the doorframe, whisper a psalm, step sideways when a room feels taller than it should. The family tragedies were surgical, not theatrical. Accidents like rehearsals, disappearances that felt negotiated, roofs collapsing under clear skies. When the family spoke kindness, the houses breathed easier. When resentment thickened, the wallpaper scratched. Janice's eyes searched the hall behind Anthony, as if exits might rearrange themselves if she looked hard enough. She called me, Janice said, and then faltered. She called me, but it wasn't a call. It's the same message, the same words. It's like she's... The word caught. She pushed through it. Stop. The memory slid forward like a blade. The girl in the knot place, walking through the same doorway forever, trapped in a loop that refused to close. She smiled with a crack down the center, stepped and re-stepped, shoes tapping a metronome for a reality that wouldn't change. The corridor smelled like rain that never fell. When Anthony spoke, the lights dimmed as if listening cost them power. He left, but her shoes kept time in his head. Tap, tap, tap. Janice's voice frayed. It keeps playing over and over. I thought it was a glitch. The confusion scattered in her hands. If I don't listen, it doesn't stop. If I do, it starts again. Anthony knew the shape of it before the proof arrived. And there was a voicemail he never deleted because it never let him. A number without origin. A timestamp that refused to stay put. Sometimes 3:33, sometimes the exact moment he thought he was safe. In it, breath first. Then a child's voice braided with a thinner one underneath. Something spectral pushing through a glass throat. Come get me, the top voice pleaded. I'm right here. I'm right here, the undertone repeated, not pleading, confirming. Behind it, a metallic tick, a loop finding its mark, cycling forward without moving. Tap, 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 silence, tap, tap, tap. Janice choked on a sob so deep it sounded like distance collapsing. It's her, she said, desperate and confused, a mother trying to label a shape time wouldn't reveal. Anthony, it's her, but it's her inside something. The house listened. Somewhere a clock remembered 3:33. The net of time tugged. The old knots tightened. Anthony lifted his phone. The message had already surfaced, as if it knew this was the moment that it had been saving itself for. He pressed play. Part 7, Denise, the Celias, and the Loop. Denise woke at 4:44. The room was quiet, unusually gentle. A soft breeze from the cracked window brushed her cheek. She reached out instinctively, hand trailing over the edge of the bed, and felt fur warm, familiar, soft. Her dog, the one who used to sleep beside her every night, curled like a guardian. She smiled, eyes still closed, comforted by the presence that her breath caught. Her dog had been gone for almost a decade. Her current pet slept in the other room behind a baby gate, snoring softly. Denise's eyes snapped open, but her body didn't follow. She couldn't move, couldn't speak. Her limbs were locked in place, her chest tight, her throat sealed. Sleep paralysis gripped her like a vice. The air shifted. They arrived. Cloaked figures, small and hunched, surrounded her bed. Their robes dragged across the floor like wet leaves. Their faces were veiled in shadow, but their voices, high-pitched, childlike, betrayal, rang out in unison. "We are the Seelies," they sang, giggling. "We are the Seelies. We are the Seelies." They climbed onto the bed, limbs bending wrong, laughter like broken toys. Their hands root-like, gnarled, pulsing, wrapped around her arms, her legs, her throat. She couldn't breathe, couldn't scream, couldn't move, only endure. Their grip tightened. Her vision blurred, her body trembled. Then clarity. A phrase rose from somewhere deeper than memory, deeper than fear. "Greater is he that is in me," she gasped, voice cracking, "than he who is in the world." The Sillies shrieked. Their grip loosened. Their bodies convulsed, then dropped through the bed, through the floor, to reality itself. Gone. She curled into a fetal position, sobbing, whispering the verse again and again until the silence returned to normal. Now at 4:44 again, Denise sat frozen. The air felt familiar. The silence too precise, but no figures came, just the memory, just the echo. Then the phone rang. Twice, and she answered. "Hello? Can you come and get me?" Nia whispered. Denise's heart skipped. "What's wrong?" "I'm not feeling well. I need to get out of here." Denise softened her voice. "Would Mom be okay with that?" "She'll be fine." The call ended. Denise stared at the screen. It was now 5:55. She moved quickly, gathering her things, keys, coat, flashlight. Something felt urgent. Something felt looped. As she drove, the radio buzzed with static before settling on a local news station. "Still no leads in the missing person case," the anchor said. Static suddenly buzzed, muffled woods behind the old mill. "Authorities say the search continues, but the trail has gone cold." Denise's grip tightened on the wheel as she notices the wooden trail in passing. 20 minutes later, her old sedan pulled up to the porch, headlights flickering like they were trying to blink away a nightmare. Nia climbed in slowly. Her body looked heavy, her eyes fogged. "You look pale," Denise said, glancing over. "You haven't been feeling well?" Nia nodded. "For the past few days, it's like I'm not even here." Denise frowned. "What's been happening?" Nia stared out the window. "I think I'm stuck in a loop." Denise blinked. "A loop?" "Yeah, like I wake up and it's the same. The same text, the same routine, the same woods." Denise didn't speak. Nia continued. "I keep remembering things, but they don't feel like memories. They feel like warning." She paused. I remember seeing a man on his knees in the woods." Denise's grip tightened on the wheel. And then a loud bang. Nia gasped. Her chest burned. She looked down. The blood seeped through her shirt. Denise screamed, causing her to swerve her car down a hill at dangerous speed. She wakes up to the faint sound of her alarm. Instinctively, she searches for Nia, who is no longer at her side. Suddenly, from afar, she notices a hooded figure with what appears to be two green orbs floating from his face, obscured by shadow. Portrait. Anthony and Janice. The living room was suffocating. The windows were barricaded with warped planks nailed unevenly, leaving only slivers of light to crawl through. Dust hung in the air, catching what little sunlight managed to slip past. The staircase loomed in the corner, but it was useless. Boxes, broken chairs, and forgotten objects cluttered every step, stacked so chaotically it was nearly impossible to ascend. The house felt like a fortress, but one built out of desperation rather than safety. Janice sat hunched on the couch, sobbing into her hands, her voice breaking as she cried about Nia. Anthony stood nearby, his jaw tight, trying to confront her through the storm of grief. "Janice," he said firmly, though his voice trembled, "tell me what happened." Her words dissolved into sobs, incoherent, desperate. He softened, crouching slightly. "Let me get you some water." She nodded, wiping her face, her shoulders shaking. Anthony moved through the dining room. It was worse than the living room, boxes stacked against boarded windows, piles of clutter spilling into the narrow walkway. The air was stale, heavy, as if the room itself had forgotten how to breathe. He pushed past the mess and entered the kitchen. The kitchen was different. Bright, stable, the only place in the house that seemed untouched by chaos. The light here was clean, steady, illuminating the counters and the sink, as if it belonged to another world. He reached for a glass, filled it at the tap, but as the water poured, a thought struck him like ice. He hadn't spoken to Janice in 3 months. He had never given her his location. His hand tightened around the glass. Suspicion burned in his chest. Still, he carried the water back to her. Janice was wiping tears from her swollen eyes, her sobs quieter now. She took the glass, her gaze hollow, emotionless as she drank. Anthony sat beside her. She reached for a hug. Pulling him closer, he let her, though his grip was cautious, his eyes narrowed. "Who gave you my address?" he asked. Janice stiffened. Her body froze, then trembled. And then she laughed. It wasn't her laugh, it was jagged, demonic, a sound that scraped against the wall. She grabbed at him, her voice garbled, layered, inhuman. "You let me in," the voice hissed, childlike and monstrous at once. Anthony's eyes darted around the room. In the corner, half hidden under dust and clutter, he saw it. Psalm 35, open, waiting. He reached for the words, his lips forming the 12th verse. But she halted him, her grip loosened, her voice begging, desperate yet mocking. "Wait," she rasped. "There are far worse than me to come." Her face shifted, skin warped, tusks of fire pushing through her mouth, eyes glowing red like embers. She looked warthog-like, grotesque, her features twisted into a mask of rage and hunger. Anthony's voice rose, steady, defiant. "Father, Son, and Holy Spirit." A ring of fire erupted around him, circling his body. The demon recoiled, backing away, scurrying in fear. Her laughter split into 2 voices, Janice's and the warthog's, echoing together, shrill and mocking. Anthony's eyes flicked to the microwave. The clock glowed. 5:55. He pushed past the clutter, chasing after her. She ran feral, crashing through a door ahead that led to the basement. He slammed it shut behind her, his voice thunderous. "May the angel of the Lord chase you if you cross this path." Her howl ripped through the house, vibrating through the walls. Anthony collapsed, exhaustion pulling him down. He lay still, chest heaving until a foul smell reached him. He rose, staggering, following the stench. Through the vents he heard it snorting, laughing, guttural and cruel. A monitoring spirit, he whispered to himself, voice hollow, and I let it in. Part 9. Tragic Kingdom, #10. Denise woke with a start, her body heavy, her head faint and clouded. For a moment she lay still, staring at the ceiling, wondering if everything had been a dream. The phone call, the accident, the strange voices. The room was dim, the air stale. She turned her head toward the clock on the nightstand. 4:44. The numbers glowed red, sharp against the dark. A chill crept over her skin, that uneasy feeling she had learned not to ignore. The phone rang. The sound pierced the silence, shrill and insistent. Denise's breath caught. It reminded her of the loop, the call from Nia, the way her cousin's voice had seemed to echo across time. A sensation of déjà vu washed over her, heavy and disorienting, but she pushed it aside. She had to be there for her little cousin. That was all that mattered. She dressed quickly, her hands trembling, and stepped into the car. As soon as she turned the key, the radio came alive. Tragic Kingdom, track 10. The song filled the cabin, familiar chords pulling her back to years ago when the album was everywhere, when life was simpler, when music meant escape instead of omen. She smiled faintly at the memory, but the smile faded as the frequency shifted. The announcer's voice broke through, distorted, fragmented. Missing person, old mill. Static swallowed the rest, words dissolving into fuzz. Denise gripped the wheel tighter, her pulse quickening. She reached forward and snapped the radio off. I'd rather listen to silence than hear all that fuzz, she muttered, her voice shaking. The trail ahead stretched into shadow as she slowed, eyes narrowing. Ooh, I don't want to get mixed up over there. That's an accident waiting to happen. She pressed on, passing the curve. In her rearview mirror, a green flash flickered in the distance. It was quick, sharp, unnatural. She noticed it, but reminded herself why she was out here. She had to get Nia. When she finally saw her cousin, everything felt wrong. The loop was repeating. Every word Nia spoke carried the weight of memory, as if Denise had heard it before. She swallowed hard, the sense of déjà vu pressing against her chest. Do you know the name Monroe? Denise asked suddenly, her voice trembling. Nia turned to her, puzzled, eyes wide. Then her nose began to bleed. Thick red drops slid down her lip, staining her shirt. Denise recoiled, horrified. Are you okay? She whispered, her voice breaking. The radio snapped back on, the same track from Tragic Kingdom, but slowed, reverbed, warped into something grotesque. The chorus dragged like a funeral dirge, each note bending the air into dread. Nia's hand slammed against the glass windows, again and again, until her palms smeared red. The sound of flesh against glass was sickening, rhythmic, relentless. Denise screamed, fumbling with her seatbelt, desperate to escape. But Nia grabbed her arm, grip iron tight, and spoke in a deep, garbled voice that was not her own. Drive behind the old mill. Tears welled in Denise's eyes as she complied, her body trembling, her mind unraveling. The voice carried the same dreadful tone as a smile stretched too wide, demonic and mocking. As they drove, Nia began to speak in a language Denise didn't recognize, Creole syllables twisted with Yoruba words, guttural and ancient, each phrase dripping with menace. The trail narrowed, shadows thickening. Denise's knuckles whitened on the wheel. Suddenly, Nia lunged forward, her bloodied hands gripping the steering wheel. With unnatural strength, she yanked it hard. The car veered, tires shrieking, and then it plummeted down the hill. The world spun. Metal groaned, glass shattered, the car tumbled end over end, each impact jarring. Violent, Denise's scream was swallowed by the chaos as the vehicle rolled into darkness. The sound of twisting steel and breaking earth echoing like a dirge. Part Act. Hello? Anthony lingered at the top of the stairs, staring into the dark below. The house was colder now, the vents exhaling a breath that felt unnatural, heavy, as though the demon's influence had seeped into every duct and corner. He hated going downstairs, but hunger gnawed at him. Thirst burned his throat. He whispered a prayer under his breath, barely audible, and began his descent. Damn. The living room was cloaked in shadows that seemed to move when he wasn't looking directly at them. In his peripheral vision, distorted figures flickered, elongated limbs, faces stretched too thin, silhouettes that dissolved when he turned his head. He forced himself forward, each step deliberate, each breath shallow. As he crossed toward the kitchen, a shadowy figure stood at the far end, motionless, watching. Its outline was human, but wrong. Too tall, too still, its head tilted at an unnatural angle. Anthony's pulse quickened. He reached for a glass, filled it with water, and as he lifted it, he caught a reflection in the window above the sink. A woman stared back at him. Her face was pale, gaunt, framed by hair pinned in the style of the early 20th century. She wore a high-collared dress, lace frayed at the edges, her eyes hollow yet piercing. He blinked, and she was gone. Something brushed past him, invisible but undeniable. A cold sweep across his arm, like fingers grazing his skin. From the hallway, voices murmured, layered and indistinct, as though entire conversations were happening in rooms that should have been empty. He prayed softly again, lips moving without sound, afraid that speaking aloud would give the visions more power. In his mind, he kept a log. He had learned that words spoken seemed to manifest, so he recorded silently, shadows in the kitchen, reflections that aren't mine, voices in empty rooms. He remembered another night, a horror incident that still haunted him. He had been dozing off, eyes heavy, when he saw it. A Sasquatch-like being walking through the hallway. Its body was massive, fur thick and dense, obscuring any features.